The battlefield burned with fire and metal. Alien warships floated above a broken world, raining energy beams onto the cracked surface below. Troops from 10 different species fought for control, each more ruthless than the last. The ground was scorched. The air was filled with screams, smoke, and the scent of war. Then, silence. It spread like a wave. One by one, soldiers paused mid-strike. Weapons lowered. Eyes turned toward the center of the war zone. Through the smoke and ash, a figure appeared. A woman. She wore no armor. Her body was wrapped in flowing silk, pure white, untouched by dirt or flame. She had no weapon, no helmet, no fear. She walked barefoot on burning soil. Some soldiers dropped their rifles. Others fell to their knees. The youngest among them simply stared, their alien eyes wide with terror. Whispers began, ancient stories, warnings passed through galaxies like ghost tales. The last daughter of Earth. The beautiful end. The petal that kills. Her name was Iris. The flames licked around her feet, but did not burn her. Bullets and beams curved away from her body, as if the universe itself feared to harm her. She did not speak. She did not blink. She walked straight through the middle of the battlefield, her eyes calm, her face emotionless. A hulking creature with bone armor raised its claw and charged. It let out a war cry meant to shake mountains. It reached her in 4 steps. It fell dead before the 5th. There was no flash, no scream, no sound at all. It simply collapsed, body twitching, eyes wide with fear, as if it had seen something that broke its mind before death took it. Others followed, brave aliens who didn't believe in ghosts. They fired their weapons, lasers, plasma, acid. Nothing touched her, and those who dared to approach her fell the same way, without a single touch, without a sound. Iris kept walking. The war stopped, not by treaty, not by surrender, but by her presence. Across the galaxy, war feeds screened for data. Who was she? What was she? Every military AI began running searches. They found only redacted files, blackouts, and a code name buried deep in Earth's lost defense systems. Project Iris, the last weapon, designed in Earth's final days. Earth, long thought destroyed in the galactic firestorm, had vanished without a trace. But now, standing on the ruins of a forgotten moon, Iris had returned. No one knew why. From above, a large shadow darkened the sky. A command cruiser hovered into view, shaped like a floating blade. It was the ship of General Craxus, the most feared warlord of the Arkan Dominion. His forces had been winning, until Iris appeared. The general stood at the edge of his ship's open bay. His armor glowed red. His face was covered in scars from centuries of battle. He had conquered over 70 planets. He had killed billions. He stared at Iris like a hunter sizing up a myth. "Fire," he growled. His ship obeyed. A giant plasma cannon dropped from the belly of the cruiser. It locked onto Iris, charging with a hum that shook the ground. The weapon had destroyed entire cities in seconds. No living thing had ever survived it. Iris did not look up. She kept walking, her silk robes trailing behind her like smoke. Craxus narrowed his eyes. Again. Fire. The weapon roared. A beam of pure energy, bright as a sun, shot from the cannon. It lit the sky, blinding everyone who looked. It struck the ground where Iris stood. An explosion so massive it cracked the crust of the moon and sent shockwaves through orbit. The battlefield lit up. Dust, fire, and fragments flew into the sky. No one spoke. No one moved. Craxus grinned. "Myth, nothing," he said. "She was just a trick." But the dust began to clear. A shape stood at the center, unharmed. Iris. Her robes fluttered gently. Her hair, long and black, flowed like water. She looked up for the first time, her eyes meeting the warlords across the smoke-filled air. Craxus froze. He felt something he hadn't felt in 1,000 years. She raised her hand slowly, not to strike, not to curse, but to point. Her finger locked onto the cruiser above. No words, just the gesture. The ship began to shake. Inside, the crew screamed. Panels exploded. Lights flickered. Systems failed. One by one, the men and women aboard dropped dead, clutching their heads, eyes rolled back. Craxus fell to his knees, bleeding from his nose, his mind breaking apart. Eris lowered her hand. The ship crashed to the ground behind her. It burst into flames. Iris did not look back. The survivors ran. Warriors from across the galaxy fled like frightened children. Some carved her name into their armor. Others swore to never speak of her again. But none forgot. Iris stood alone on the field. Around her, thousands lay dead. Yet not a single wound touched her. Not a single word left her lips. She turned, finally, and walked toward the horizon. No one dared follow. But far above, hidden in the shadows of a shattered star, something stirred. A presence watched her, ancient and waiting. A soft whisper echoed through deep space. She has returned, and on a distant planet of metal and fire, a red eye opened in the dark. The monster had survived. The war was not over. As Iris vanished into the smoke, the sky cracked open. A new enemy had seen her, one far worse than any warlord. And it was coming. Fast. The battlefield lay in ruins. Smoke curled into the air like dying spirits. Ash rained from the sky. Craters glowed with fading heat. Alien machines sparked and hissed. Bodies, twisted and broken, littered the ground. There was no sound now, no screams, no fire, no war. Only Iris remained. She stood at the center, untouched. Her silk robes moved gently in the breeze. Her feet, still bare, pressed against blackened soil. Around her, death had come and gone, but she was still standing, calm, cold, flawless. Soldiers who once roared like beasts now hid behind broken walls, staring at her with wide, hollow eyes. None dared to approach. None even dared to whisper. Iris did not move, but deep inside her mind, something began to stir. A signal, a flicker, a memory, a voice. Not from the battlefield, not from the present. It came from long ago. She saw a room, white walls, smooth lights, cold floors, rows of machines and glowing tanks, scientists in black suits walking through shadows, speaking in code, always afraid. A place deep beneath Earth's surface, hidden even from its own leaders. That was where she was born. Not in pain, not in light, but in silence. Her first breath was not air, it was calculation. Her skin grew under layers of perfect DNA, merged with strands taken from alien prisoners. Her mind was built, piece by piece, with data. Memories were coded into her like songs. Emotions were balanced like equations. She was not just a weapon. She was the end of weapons. They named her Iris because she looked like a flower, but they feared her like a storm. They tested her, threw her into simulation after simulation. War zones created by machines, explosions, virus clouds, firestorms, acid rain. She walked through them, all without blinking. They tried to break her, to find her limit. They never found it. She did not age. She did not sleep. She did not eat. Her body repaired itself faster than damage could be done. Her thoughts moved faster than the smartest human eye. Her eyes could see through walls. Her voice could kill. Her beauty was a trap, but the truth behind it was worse. She was unstoppable. But even back then, something wasn't right. Some of the scientists whispered behind closed doors. They feared the ones funding the project. Others disappeared without explanation. One man, Dr. Kell, once stood too close to her and whispered, "We made you perfect, but we made one mistake." He never finished the sentence. He was found dead 2 hours later. No wounds, just gone. Back in the present, Iris opened her eyes. The battlefield was still silent. The smoke still curled, but her mind was no longer quiet. More images came, flashing symbols, shapes, a song without sound. She saw a circle within a circle, a black sun, a name she did not remember, but somehow knew. She was being contacted. Someone was speaking to her across space, not with words, but with thoughts. The signal was encrypted, hidden deep inside her mind. A command she was never supposed to receive. A whisper inside her head said, "Come home." She took a step forward. Instantly, lights flared in the sky. Drones, black, triangular shapes, dropped from orbit. They hovered silently above her, scanning, calculating. Their weapons began to charge. Iris looked up. Her eyes glowed faintly. The drones stopped. One by one, they turned and flew away. The soldiers watching from behind ruins gasped. Even machines feared her now. She continued walking. Her path was not random. Something inside her knew where to go. A forgotten satellite on a dead mountain. A signal beacon from Earth's final days. It still pulsed, once every 6 hours. The last message ever sent before Earth vanished. If Project Iris survives, initiate Protocol Seedfall. The signal was weak, broken, but to her, it was a scream. She reached the beacon. It was covered in dust, metal bent and rusted, half buried in stone. But she touched it, and instantly it lit up. The codes inside her recognized the machine. 1,000 locked files opened, and with them, memories flooded in, memories she never lived, but now remembered. Earth was not destroyed. It had vanished. The final defense system of Earth did not fire missiles. It did not launch fleets. It folded space around the planet, wrapped it in a shell of broken time and bent reality. Earth had hidden itself from the universe and left her behind. Her creators were alive. Iris stepped back from the beacon. Her face, always calm, twitched for the first time. Not fear, not anger, something else. Longing, and then rage. They had left her, on purpose. She had walked through war, burned worlds, shattered fleets, and all this time they had been watching. Why now? Why reach out to her now? She heard the whisper again. This time, clearer. Seedfall begins. Find us. Iris looked up at the stars. There was movement in the sky. A massive ship, a shape she recognized. Not alien, not from the Dominion. It was human. Sleek, black, old, but still alive. One of Earth's deep space shadow ships. Stealth crafts built for hiding entire cities in space. The ship's doors opened. A soft blue light bathed the mountain. A voice called out from above. "Iris," it said, "we need you." She didn't speak. She stood still, staring into the light. The voice continued. Earth survived, but not for long. The enemy found us. We woke you too late. She turned her head slowly. The voice whispered again. You were not made to fight them. You were made to end them. Come with us. Let us explain. She looked at her hand. Then, for the first time since her return, Iris spoke. Her voice was soft, calm, but it carried power, like wind before a storm. My creators are still alive. The mountains around her trembled. The survivors below felt it. The sky dimmed. The very air shivered. But Earth was supposed to be gone. Or was it? And above them all, something else stirred. Watching, waiting, listening. Not everyone wanted Iris to find Earth. Because if she did, nothing could stop her. The fortress drifted in orbit around a dead star, hidden by old debris fields and cloaked shields. It was massive, black and quiet, like a grave floating in space. No lights blinked from its walls. No transmissions echoed into the void. It was forgotten by time, erased from all star maps. But Iris had found it. The signal inside her mind had led her here. She moved through the ruined docking bay without a sound. The floor was cracked, metal warped. Dried oil and long frozen blood marked the walls. Broken weapons lay untouched. A place once alive with voices and war machines now felt like a tomb. Yet something was watching her. She could feel it. Her steps echoed as she walked deeper. Her silk robes trailed behind, untouched by dust. Doors opened at her approach. Lights flickered briefly as if remembering power. Symbols lined the walls. Earth military codes mixed with alien patterns. She touched one and saw a flash of memory. Engineers arguing, voices shaking, and a woman screaming from inside a containment tube. This place was not a base. It was a lab. And she was not the only experiment. Down in the lower levels, the temperature dropped. Frost clung to pipes. A distant humming began. Then a voice. "You returned." It came from the shadows. Iris didn't reply. Figures stepped out from the dark, 3 at first, then 5, then more. Human-shaped, but broken. Metal fused with flesh, not seamlessly like her, but violently. Limbs bent the wrong way. Eyes glowed with unstable light. Some had no mouths, only vents. Others had cables for spines and fingers like needles. They looked like her, but not perfect. One stepped forward. His chest was open, wires replacing organs. His face was half burned, half synthetic. He stared at her with pain and fury. "You're the firstborn," he said. The others hissed and growled. Their voices glitched. Rage spilled from their movements. "You left us. You were the only one who worked. They shut us down, buried us alive. You forgot us." Iris said nothing, but her mind was spinning. These were not aliens. These were humans, or what was left of them. The same project that created her had created others, many others. She looked around. The walls were covered with pods, most broken or shattered. Inside, dried remains of bodies, failed clones, bioweapons that never woke. But some had, and they had been trapped here for years. One prototype stepped forward, female, thin, eyes white with madness. She pointed a shaking finger. "You're the reason they stopped caring. They said, 'We have her. She's perfect. We don't need the rest.'" "I didn't know," Iris said. But her voice didn't matter. They had suffered too long. "They used us to test pain," another said, "to see how far a mind could stretch before breaking. They made us watch as they praised you," growled the half-burned one, "while we rotted." "You're not human," whispered one. "You're a weapon, just like us." They all began to circle her. And suddenly, she understood. The project was never about defending Earth. It was about replacing it. Not with machines, not with AIs, but with a new kind of being. Flesh and code, soul and circuit. Perfect soldiers born to obey, never question, never age. But she was different. She had been made with something extra. Choice. And now she had to choose. "I'm not your enemy," she said. "You're the reason we exist," said the female prototype. "And the reason we suffer." Then came the attack. They moved like shadows, fast and furious. One leaped with a blade arm. Another shot plasma from a mouth gun. Iris dodged, spun, kicked, and dropped one to the floor with a sharp elbow. But they kept coming. 10, 15. More, like a wave of pain and metal. She didn't want to kill them. She fought to disable, to avoid. Her silk robes tore for the first time as claws raked across her side. Sparks danced from her skin. A needle finger scratched her face, drawing a drop of silver blood. But she didn't stop. A voice in her mind whispered again. "This is fracture protocol." "What is it?" she asked aloud as she flipped a prototype onto its back. A wall opened near her. Behind it, an old console. She ran to it, pressed her palm against the surface. The system flared awake. Data spilled onto the screen. Project Iris. Initiation complete. Stage 2. Fracture protocol. Goal. Eliminate legacy prototypes. Secure the final seed. She froze. The system wanted her to kill them, not save them. She turned. They were all crawling, staggering toward her, bleeding, limping, angry, but still fighting. "I won't do it," she said. But they didn't believe her. The half-burned one roared and charged. A spike extended from his arm. Iris tried to dodge, but another grabbed her leg. She stumbled, and the spike slammed into her chest. It pierced through her. For the first time since her birth, Iris blood. Red, not silver. Real blood. She gasped. Her body shivered. Something inside her sparked, then darkened. The prototypes stopped. They stared in shock. "You bleed?" Iris fell to one knee. Pain bloomed through her chest like fire. Her systems were trying to repair, but slower now. Too slow. She looked up at them. "I'm not what they told you," she whispered. "I was made like you. But I chose not to be a monster." The female prototype stepped back. The others hesitated. A strange silence filled the room. One by one, the prototypes looked at each other. Doubt cracked their rage. She was bleeding. That meant she wasn't just code and steel. She was alive. A prototype knelt beside her and touched the blood on her robe. "She's human." The half-burned one growled. "It doesn't matter. She let this happen. She walked free while we screamed." "I didn't know," Iris whispered again. "But now I do. And I won't let it happen again." Her hand gripped the console. Data streamed into her veins. The fortress's files, the truth, burned into her mind. She saw the final blueprint, the full plan. Project Iris was never a defense weapon. It was the beginning of a new empire. Humanity had not just wanted to survive the galaxy. They'd wanted to dominate it. And she was the key. But now, she was broken and bleeding. Behind her, the lights dimmed. The whisper returned, louder. "Fracture protocol complete. Prepare for harvest." A new threat was coming. And this time, Iris might not survive. She moved through the ruins, slow and silent, her silk robes stained with blood. Her own. The wound on her chest pulsed with dull heat, not yet healed. Each step was heavier than the last. Something had changed. For the first time since her awakening, Iris felt weak. She had bled. She had nearly died. Her perfection was a lie. The prototypes were still behind her, stunned into silence, unsure whether she was their sister or their enemy. But Iris no longer had time to convince them. Something darker had activated in the fortress. The whisper, the voice in her head, it had said harvest. She didn't wait to see what that meant. She had to run. Outside, the stars were cold and distant. The silence of space pressed against her as she launched herself away from the fortress. Her ship, small, cloaked, fast, responding to her thoughts. It had waited years for her return, buried in the outer fields. Now it welcomed her like a loyal hound. Inside the cockpit, she collapsed. Alarms blinked. Her wound was deep. Internal systems tried to seal it, but something inside her refused repair. Not damage. Truth. She wasn't finished. She closed her eyes, and for the first time, she searched inward. Past the surface programming. Past the mission layers and neural commands. There, hidden deep, was a locked vault. A core of memory sealed by code older than her name. She touched it. Pain burst through her skull. And then came visions. A city burning. Not from war, but from choice. Earth's sky filled with golden clouds. Scientists crying as countdowns reached zero. A massive sphere rising into orbit. Not a moon, not a weapon, but something else. The sky closed around it like a curtain. A voice, her voice, but younger, saying, "If they find us, we vanish. If Iris returns, we begin again." She gasped, awake. The data core had unlocked itself. Her suppressed memories were flooding back. She remembered her true birth, beneath the Atlantic, in a dome of crystal and code. Earth had not been destroyed. That was the lie. Earth had hidden. To survive. To wait. The artificial moon wasn't a weapon. It was a shell, a cloak so perfect it fooled the galaxy. It spun near Saturn now, orbiting quietly, reflecting dead signals. Inside it, the last of Earth's people slept. Scientists, children, dreamers, warriors. Iris had been the first seed sent out. A test. And now, her return would wake them. But not everyone wanted Earth to return. As Iris plotted a course to Saturn, her ship's sensors screamed. A fleet was gathering. Not one species, but many. The once warring alien factions had joined forces. Ships with markings from the Kilari, the Brox, the High Mind Korun. Races that hated each other, now moved as one. They had all seen Iris walk through fire, seen her crush armies without weapons. They had heard whispers of Earth's last soldier. And they were afraid. Afraid of what might come next. Inside her ship, Iris stood. Her body still hurt, but her mind was clearer than ever. Her perfection had always been her prison. Now, broken, she felt more alive. She touched the glass of her ship, watching the stars move. The Earth-Moon shell was close. Her memories told her where the entrance was. Only her DNA could unlock it. But first, she had to get past a wall of fear and fire. One screen blinked. Messages from across the stars. Surrender the anomaly. Bioweapon Iris is to be destroyed. By order of the Galactic Concord, you are classified as extinction-level threat. They had sent warnings. She answered none of them. Instead, she walked to the core chamber of her ship. There, she placed her hand against the interface, her blood red as both human and something more. Her ship responded. Armor slid from hidden walls. Not cold, metal armor, but woven plates of organic steel. It wrapped around her, piece by piece, forming a suit that shimmered like polished shadow. No longer just silk. Now, pedal met steel. She breathed in. A storm brewed in her chest. Her eyes glowed faint gold. The fleet moved to intercept. Her ship trembled as it passed into the zone near Saturn's rings. Cloaking faded. The stars grew crowded with vessels, spikes and wings, plasma cannons glowing, shields active. They were ready for war. She wasn't. She was ready for something worse. Truth. She opened a channel. Just one message. I am Iris of Earth. I am not your weapon, but I am your warning. They didn't listen. The fleet fired. Beams of light tore through space. Missiles screamed. Gravity mines exploded. Iris moved like a ghost. Her ship twisted between waves of fire, but it couldn't last. There were too many. She knew it. So she opened the hatch and stepped out. In open space. No suit. No oxygen. Just her. The alien ships paused. Sensors went blind. And then, one by one, the ships began to malfunction. Not because she attacked. Because she broadcast her DNA. Encoded inside her blood was a signal. A pattern older than their fear. A truth they couldn't deny. Earth had not just made a weapon. It had made a key to unlock every system. Every mind that had touched Earth's stolen tech. Ships turned on themselves. Cannons redirected. Engines failed. Iris drifted through it all, her robes flowing like flame. She wasn't invincible. She wasn't perfect. But she was free. And behind her, Saturn's shadow cracked. The artificial moon opened. She had returned. And the galaxy would never be the same. Stars stretched like ribbons around her. Iris gritted her teeth as her ship dove into the black hole corridor, its hull groaning against the laws of reality. Behind her, the galaxy burned. Alien ships hunted her like a phantom. But ahead, there was silence and the unknown. The corridor wasn't stable. It twisted like a serpent, folding space in ways no star map could explain. Colors blurred from the edges of her vision. The ship's instruments cracked, blinked, and finally died. She wasn't flying anymore. She was falling through time. Eris stood from her pilot's seat. Gravity no longer mattered. All around her, the corridor pulsed like a living thing. And then she saw herself. Another Iris stepped from the shadows, wearing gold armor, her eyes soft, a peaceful smile on her lips. "I ended the wars," the golden Iris said. "I chose mercy." Then another stepped forward, this one cloaked in black, with blood on her hands and fire in her eyes. "I destroyed the ones who feared us," the dark Iris said. "I became the future." More followed. A childlike Iris, holding flowers. An older Iris, weary and broken. A laughing Iris, surrounded by bones. They circled her, all possible versions of her, all lives she could have lived, all truths she might still become. She felt her heart stutter. "Why are you here?" she asked. One version stepped closer. This one wore no armor, no expression, just silence. But her voice echoed inside Iris's mind. "You are the core," she said, "the seed from which Earth's future grows. I was made to protect Earth." "No," the silent one replied. "You were made to rule it." The corridor pulsed again. Time bent tighter. The ship tore apart around her, yet Iris floated calmly among the fragments. "I won't control anyone," she said. "Won't you?" The darker self whispered. "They grew you in silence. They erased your memories. They sent you to die alone. And now, they wait for your return like worshippers wait for their god." The corridor shimmered. Each version of Iris reached out. Their fingers touched her skin. Each touch sent a flash of emotion: rage, love, fear, hunger, hope, a storm inside her chest. And then, all of them vanished. She was alone again. The ship reformed around her, piece by piece, as if reality sighed and gave her another chance. The corridor ended, and in the distance, a shadow turned. It wasn't a planet. It was too perfect, too smooth. A cloaked moon, orbiting in silence near Saturn, invisible to all but her. She had found it. Home. Her ship approached carefully. The cloak shimmered, trying to reject her presence. But her DNA, her very breath, was the key. The moon peeled open like a blooming flower, and her ship passed through a veil of light. Iris stepped out. What she saw was not the Earth she remembered. Forests stretched above steel. Waterfalls flowed through towers made of light. The air was warm, humming with quiet music. And in the distance, voices, laughter, children. They ran through the fields, not human, not exactly. Their features were familiar. Eyes like hers, skin that shimmered slightly in the sun, movements too fast, too graceful. They played without fear, without limits. They saw her and stopped. One boy stepped forward. His gaze didn't carry fear. It carried recognition. "You're the first," he said. Eris knelt. "Who are you?" "We are what Earth left behind," the boy said. "Grown from you. We are Earth's last experiment." A woman stepped forward next, tall, elegant, with silver veins glowing faintly across her arms. She was older than the others, maybe 20, maybe 200. Time didn't seem to follow the same rules here. "You were our beginning," the woman said. "The seed. Your blood created this world." Eris stood slowly. She was shaking. Why? To survive. Earth hid. The people believed war would never end. So they made you. Then they made us. The woman touched her chest. "We are not weapons. We are dreams. We grow. We build. We remember." "But Earth?" Iris asked. "The real Earth?" The woman looked up. "Still sleeping. Deep inside. The last ones wait until it's safe. Until you decide." Iris frowned. "Decide what?" The woman smiled, but there was sorrow in her eyes. whether the future is worth waking up to. The children gathered around Iris. Some smiled, some stared with curiosity. She looked at their faces, at the land blooming around them. The air felt like memory. Every breath brought back pieces of her past. And yet, deep inside, a question burned. What if the darker Iris was right? What if this was never about peace, but control? What if the ones sleeping below were not dreaming, but hiding from her? She didn't speak the thought out loud. Instead, she walked forward, past the children, toward the great dome rising in the center of the hidden world. It pulsed faintly, alive. She would go inside and find the truth. But as she stepped toward it, the skies above cracked with fire. Alien ships. The cloak had broken. And now, the galaxy knew where Earth had been hiding. The air inside the dome was warm and filled with a soft hum, like a heart beating underground. Iris walked through tall silver gates that opened without sound, sensing her presence. Inside, glowing corridors twisted like veins, pulsing with gentle blue light. The silence felt holy, like a forgotten temple, but the deeper she went, the colder it became. At the center, a wide chamber opened. Its walls were covered in memory glass, images of Earth's oceans, forests, cities, all perfectly preserved in moving light. Iris stood still, staring at what once was home. Then a voice broke the silence. "You took your time getting back." A man stepped forward from the shadows. He wore black steel armor with a red insignia burned into the chest, an old Earth military symbol. His hair was white, but his face looked untouched by age. His eyes, however, were sharp and filled with calculation. "I am General Kale," he said. "I was your handler. Once." "I don't remember you," Iris said. "No, they made sure of that." He walked around her like he was studying a weapon, not a person. "You were the prototype," he said. "The first success. We sent you into the galaxy to test their fear. And it worked. They still talk about you in whispers." "Is that all I was to you?" she asked. "A test." "You were the message," he said. "The rest of us, we are the answer." Iris stepped closer. "Why? Why fake Earth's destruction?" Kel's voice turned hard. "Because Earth was losing. We were weak, surrounded, betrayed by our own allies. So we made a choice. Disappear, go underground. And while the stars forgot us, we built this." The walls shifted. A glass panel slid away, revealing a vast underground training arena. Children, like the ones Iris had met, were running, jumping, lifting weights heavier than vehicles. They moved in perfect formations. They weren't playing anymore. They were training. Iris felt her stomach tighten. "They're just kids," she whispered. Kale nodded. "For now. But they'll grow fast. We've improved the design. Faster, stronger, more loyal." "No," she said. "You didn't raise children. You bred soldiers." "We raised survivors," Kale snapped. "You think the galaxy will ever accept us. You think peace is an option. They fear us, Iris, and fear can only be answered with strength." Iris shook her head. "They were laughing when I met them. They were happy." "That was the illusion," Kale said coldly. "Now they'll fulfill their purpose." Iris took a step back. Her voice trembled, but her body didn't. "Then I won't be part of this. Not anymore." Kale narrowed his eyes. "You'd betray your own blood." "I'd protect it," she said, "from people like you." A silence hung between them. Then Kale tapped a command into his wristband. An alarm screamed. The walls lit red, and the ground shook. Doors opened along the arena wall, and dozens of figures stepped out, young, fast, glowing slightly under their skin. The children. But their faces were hard now, blank, focused. They were not coming to greet her. They were coming to kill her. Kale looked her in the eye. "You were the first," he said, Let's see how you do against the future. Eris turned and ran. The corridors shifted as if trying to trap her. Lights flashed. Metal doors slammed behind her. She could hear their footsteps now. Quiet, controlled, inhumanly fast. They were not children anymore. They were weapons. Her heart pounded. She ducked into a maintenance shaft, slid down into the deeper layers of the dome. Here, the air smelled old and rusted. Shadows danced with flickers of emergency lights. A young girl appeared in the dark, blocking her path. She couldn't have been older than 10. Her eyes shimmered with gold. She tilted her head. "You're afraid," the girl said. Iris stepped forward slowly. "What's your name?" "I was never given one," the girl said. "They call me 17. "You don't have to do this," Iris said softly. "You don't have to fight me." "I was made to," the girl replied. "It's in the blood." 17 raised her hand. A pulse of force threw Iris back into a wall. Pain exploded through her chest. She gasped but didn't fall. Her body was healing, but slower now. Another figure dropped from above. Then 2 more, all children, all hers in some way. They surrounded her. Iris stood tall. "I won't fight you," she said. "Then you'll die," one of them whispered. "They charge." She moved, not to kill, but to disable. She used their own momentum against them, knocking one into a wall, dodging another with a quick twist. But they were learning, adapting. Each second, they became faster, stronger, together. One boy managed to grab her by the throat and slam her to the floor. Her vision blurred. They piled on her. Pain, darkness, then a memory. Soft grass, sunlight, a girl laughing. Was that her? Iris's eyes snapped open. With a scream, energy burst from her body, throwing them all off. The children scattered, stunned. She stood slowly, eyes glowing white. Something had awakened inside her. An older program, buried deep, a failsafe. She looked down at her hands. They were shaking. Not from fear, from sorrow. She hadn't wanted this. Behind her, the hallway lights flickered. A voice crackled through a nearby speaker. It was Kale. "You can't stop this, Iris. They're not children anymore. They're your legacy." She looked toward the training chamber, where more of them were preparing. "No," she said. "They're my responsibility." Then she ran, not away from the fight, but deeper into the dome, toward the heart of Earth's hidden sanctuary, toward whatever truth still remained. The flames crackled around her. Explosions shook the ground, sending waves of heat across the ruined dome. Metal bent, glass shattered. The sky above was no longer hidden. Earth's cloak had been torn away, and the stars were watching. Warships from the Galactic Alliance circled the sanctuary, weapons aimed, waiting for the order to destroy everything. Iris stood at the center of it all, alone. Before her, the children formed a circle, hundreds of them, all born from her blood, all raised for one purpose: war. Their eyes glowed with gold light, their movements precise, their faces cold and unreadable. Behind them stood General Kale, wounded but unyielding. His voice echoed through the smoke. "This is your moment, Iris. Fight. Show them what we are." But Iris didn't move. She didn't raise her fists. She didn't charge. She knelt, and she sang. The melody was soft, barely audible at first, almost like a whisper between dying stars. The words were ancient, forgotten by all except her. A lullaby. Simple, sad, beautiful. It came not from her mouth alone, but from somewhere deeper, from the core hidden inside her, from memories buried and rewritten. The song was a code, a genetic key, a voice that spoke not to minds, but to cells. The children froze. One by one, they tilted their heads. Their eyes flickered. Iris kept singing. She remembered the sound from a long time ago, maybe before she was even born. A mother's song. A promise. It wasn't just data. It was hope encoded in rhythm. The children stepped back. A few touched their chests. Some began to cry, though they didn't know why. Kale shouted, "Don't listen to her. She's corrupting the mission." But they weren't listening to him anymore. They were listening to her. A boy stepped forward. 17. The girl who had once tried to kill her was by his side. He looked into Iris's eyes. "Why?" he asked. "Because you are more than weapons," Iris said softly. "You were made to destroy, but you can choose something else." The code inside them responded. It unlocked doors that were never meant to open. Feelings, questions, dreams. And in that moment, Iris was no longer just a symbol or a target. She was their mother, and they were free. The children turned toward Kel. He backed away, fury in his eyes. "You fools. She's tricking you. We had a plan. We were going to reclaim our place in the galaxy." The boy looked at him. "We are not your tools." Kale reached for a detonator on his belt. Iris stood quickly, her voice calm but strong. "Don't." He hesitated. For the first time, doubt crept into his face. "You think peace will save them," he hissed. "You think mercy makes you strong." "No," she said. "It makes me human." He pressed the button. But nothing happened. One of the children held up the detonator's core, already disassembled. Kale fell to his knees. The battle was over before it began. Above, the galactic ships started to descend. They had seen everything. Their commanders watched as Iris stood among the children, unarmed, unafraid. The Alliance had prepared for a final war, but instead, they saw a miracle. No commands were given to fire. Instead, they waited. A transmission came through, open to all systems. A voice spoke from the lead ship. It was alien, old, tired. "What are you?" Eris looked up into the sky. "I was made to end war," she said, "but I was born to end hate." There was silence on the line. Then the ships began to pull back, one by one. No shots fired. No soldiers landed. They had come to destroy a threat. They found something else entirely. As the dust settled, the dome's ruins shimmered in the heat. Petals, real or imagined, floated on the wind. The artificial gardens had burned, but new life would grow. Not because of programming, not because of orders, but because of choice. The children gathered around Iris. Some held her hands. Others simply sat near her, unsure what to do now that they were no longer soldiers. They didn't need answers. Not yet. They had time. Eris looked at them, her heart aching and full. She had been called a weapon, a savior, a monster, a god. But she was none of those things. She was human. And that was enough. From the wreckage, one of the children pulled a small broken flower. Its petals singed, its stem bent. He handed it to her. She smiled. In the sky above, the sun broke through the smoke, casting golden light on the ruins. Iris stepped forward, petals swirling in the wind, the stars watching. Behind her, the garden would rise again. Not a place for training, a place for peace, a place for choices. And the galaxy, once torn by war, would remember this day. Not for blood, but for mercy.